Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the beneficent and merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that he appeared among us in the personage of Master Qur'an Muhammad, the great Mahdi. I further bear witness that he traveled 9,000 miles and raised up the eternal leader of the nation of Islam and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the two of them left a divine reminder in our midst in the hard-working Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Right. It is in their names and in their spirit that I greet my people, my brothers and sisters, in the greeting words of peace and paradise of Assalamu alaikum. How y'all feeling today? If you can give our presenters a round of applause. Sister Aaliyah, Brother Tariq, Brother Rashad, Brother Tony, for sharing a word with us about Islam. Today we're going to be talking about fighting for Islam. That's right. And what does that mean? Fighting for peace. Peace. Peace where? Inner peace. That's what this is about. Inner peace, right? That's right. Becoming one. That's when we travel. How far are we traveling until we get what? Until we reflect God, right? So when we see you, when you get there, when I look at you, then I'm looking at who? God. I'm looking at God. But it's a process to get to that. You just don't recite and you become God. You just don't put on the headpiece and you become God. You just don't put on the bow tie and you become God. That ain't how it works. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches that we've been raised, but raising is a continuous process until death. Right. It never stops. Right. Knowledge is infinite, right? Right? And the first thing that we got to acquire is knowledge. So we're going to fight for Islam. So inshallah, during today's presentation, we'll get a better understanding of how we can take this internal jihad. Because every day we face with adversity. We're faced with trials, right? Yes, so how do we deal with it and elevate a level each time? That's what it's all about. How do we knock off those rough edges so we can become smooth? You understand? All right, all praises be to Allah. If you hadn't had a chance to read the latest edition of The Final Call, you can see that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is talking about guidance in a time of trouble. What trouble are we dealing with? We're in the greatest fight of our lives. Right. The survival of our species and our race in the Western Hemisphere. Right. They brought us over here to use us, to use our minds and then throw us to the garbage pail. You understand? Yes, sir. But a light came out of the east and traveled to the west 9,000 miles and raised up the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And then the most honorable Elijah Muhammad went to work. He went to work for 40 years. If you ever get a chance, there's a book called The Accomplishments of the Nation. You should look at that magazine. You should see where we're trying to get back to and beyond. Because if you don't see it, you can't visualize it. Hospitals, apartment buildings, banks. You hear me? Meat packing plants, private jets, ships, boats, import, export. This is what the Nation of Islam was doing. You read the table talks. He's talking to our engineers. He's talking to our scientists, and he's asking them, how much is the devil paying you? Oh, he's paying me $120,000. That's how much we paying. Just like that. Yes, we need to get back to that. It's more to the Nation of Islam than what we are currently involved in. We got to elevate to another level. There's different levels to this. All right. So we talking about prolonging our life. And the first one is discipline. Come on. How did Master Farad discipline us? Through our stomachs. So that's on the front page of the Final Call News. You need to go in and read that. Yes, sir. All right? How to eat to live. Why do we eat one meal a day? That's important. Sister Kamora sent me something yesterday on Facebook. It was an Asian lady talking about why we eat one meal a day. And she said those who eat one meal a day between 4 and 6. Y'all peeping game, as my brother said. He said that you are on the apex level of being a human. I'm going to put it in the text on the chat so y'all can listen to it for yourself. All these people are bearing witness to what we got in 1930. All of them, from intermittent fasting, all of this. How we fast 3 days once every month to rejuvenate our body. Y'all hear me? Yes, and the people want to know why the Muslims stay young and strong for so long. If you practice in this, if you live in this, then you're going to look young for a long time, brother. All praise due to Allah. All praise due to Allah. I ain't going to keep you too long, but we're going to get right to it. So if you need to take out a pen, take notes, the slides that we put up on the screen, if you need to take pictures, because I want you to go back and study. All right? Don't take my word for it. I'm a man trying to get to heaven too. You understand? We all on the same boat. Now this book, if you haven't had a chance to look at this book, Message to the Black Man, this is the book that fished me into the Nation of Islam. This is what delivered me to Muhammad Mosque number 48, right here. I walked in the bookstore, I was looking for another book, but I found this book. And I opened the book, and once I read the first page, I was hooked. I started spending all my money trying to find every lecture that this man spoke, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that was on print. And I just started feeding. And then one day, me and my wife walked into the mosque, and we started looking around. And we've been here ever since, all right? So this is a very important book. When you go back and look at the history, the messenger, he wants to know when they published this book, how many of these books are in the population? How many first-time guests have come and bore witness to this book? He knew this was a fishing tool. He knew this was going to raise us up. You understand? So this is one of the most important books that we can give to any of our family members to introduce them to the Nation of Islam. But really, it's the totality of the teachings is in this book. Everything is in this book. Everything. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, they point out to us. I'm going to point out a few scriptures in the Bible before we get going. But the first one is to show us how important we are to the God, which is Abraham, right? Abraham is known as the father of monotheistic religion, the belief in one God. Abraham had got a promise from God that his seed would be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and they shall be afflicted for 400 years, right? There is no other people that's been afflicted for over 400 years than us. You looking at the people, right? The seed of Abraham. You say, well, Abraham, they paint him as an heir, but they know Abraham was a black man from the land of Ur. You better go look at it. The further you go back in history, the darker you get. All right, they may be talking about history and they showing you the light skin, but that ain't what they look like during that time. But you got to know that. We're talking about black men, right? So he said they'll be afflicted for 400 years, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. So God himself, the supreme being, is coming himself to judge the land that Abraham's seed is trapped in. That's how important we are. In all our madness, in all our inordinance, we are the most important people walking on the planet right now in God's eyes. Because we're the cornerstone that's going to build this kingdom. And we're in the northeast corner, right? All right. Also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. So it's something that's been taken away from us that only God himself will deliver. Nobody else. Nobody else can raise and elevate the black man but the supreme being himself. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in a good old age. So Master Farad came, he walked among us. He said, you ain't seen me in my holy garments. He taught the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad 3 years and 4 months, right? Is that right? Night and day. They said he used to peek through the keyhole, and he'd look right back at him because he ain't getting no sleep. You understand? So he's showing the knowledge that he transferred to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and then he left him to do the work. And then look what he did. He built a nation, crisscrossing the country. I want you to think about that. He was fighting for Islam, for his peace. Is that right? And it wasn't an easy road. It was an uphill road, and it's still an uphill road. He had to go to court to defend the believers. The believers went to jail. They came and took Master Farad Muhammad. He teaching in the jail. You understand? Because the white boys is understanding the signs and symbols that Master Farad is showing at the time. So they're trying to see what's up with him. What he know? What is he saying? What is he doing? We get the pictures, but we don't get the conversations. Yes, sir. We know that he didn't get charged, but he got out. You understand? This is deep. So God comes, and he brought us the supreme wisdom that will guide us into all of this. All right, let's look at this. At the Holy Quran. Holy Quran, Surah 22 and 39 through 40. It says, permission to fight is given to those whom war is made because they are oppressed. What is oppression? What's oppression? Anybody? What does it mean to be oppressed? Somebody depriving you of your human rights, right? We've been over here for 400 years. Have we been deprived?
Yes, sir.
All I got to do is ask you what your last name is, and you already know. This is not a guessing game for anybody. You are the oppressed in the West. All right. He says, and surely Allah is able to assist who? Them. Who is the them it's talking about? The oppressed, right? Those who are driven from their homes without a just cause except they say, our Lord is Allah. And if Allah did not repel some people by others, cloisters and churches and synagogues and mosques, in which Allah's name is much remembered. Now peep that out. The God says, now this is written in first person because this is Allah talking to the reader, right? Yes, so he says in cloisters, in churches, in synagogues, in mosques, right? In which Allah's name is much remembered. Is that divisive? No, that's unity. Because he sent every one of these groups a messenger from himself. Ain't that what the Quran say? Yes, that's what the Quran say, right? Yes, that everyone has received a messenger from themselves. Right. Is much remembered, would have been pulled down, and surely Allah will help him who helps him. Surely Allah is strong and mighty. So we fighting for Islam today, is that right? Yes, sir. But we got to fight to take a strong stance against our own nabs, or our own faults. You understand? The things that we do that nobody else knows about is what I'm talking about. This is what stops you from elevating, because this is self-improvement. So you got to focus on yourself and nobody else. Nobody else. That's difficult. That's not easy, because you may feel that somebody is taking advantage of you. You understand? Or you may feel that sometimes the situation is unfair, because you're not focused on yourself, and you got to stay focused on yourself. If not, you don't elevate. All right, let's keep going. In Surah 2:205, we find, and when he goes away, he strives throughout the land to cause corruption therein and destroys crops and animals. And Allah does not like corruption. Allah does not like corruption. Allah does not like corruption. That's deep. What is corruption? Corruption is dishonest or fraudulent conduct by those in power, typically involving bribes. Deals are being made at the top of every black organization in Dallas. You understand? Corruption. So they only can go so far, right? So what is the greatest thing that Allah is holding back when it comes to these organizations? Youthful membership. Everybody is struggling to get youth. You know why? Because the leadership is corrupt. So the God won't let them come in. He's holding them back, because they can peep your false love from a distance. They can smell it. They can see it. Their five senses are amplified. So they won't come in until somebody shows them some actual, true, and divine love. That's it. That's it. That's it. It says, when he goes away, he strives throughout the land and causes corruption therein and destroys crops and animals. His own food that he's supposed to be eating and taking in. We dealing with a corrupter. That he's on his own self-destruction. And we following right behind him. So the God said, we got to do for self. Yes, right. He said, study the white man. Ain't that what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us? Study the white man. He makes no excuses for his failures. He is successful in his endeavors, right? Yes, sir. They work collectively to be successful. Everyone in here, you walked into the mosque today. You have a talent for your people. How do we use it as a collective unit so we can benefit from it? That's the key, because that's what's hurting us. How do we do it? I don't have the answer, but you got to keep coming to find out. Come on, go ahead. You understand? Yes, sir. Because we got to do something together. All our organizations, Greeks, all of this, we all got to figure out a way to work together. Yes, sir. Because they're keeping us apart from each other, and we never learn how great we are, because we all in our own little closets. And my closet is more decorated than your closet, so I'm better than you. My closet's got more altars, so my closet is better than yours. That's how we thinking, right? This is Willie Lynchism. This is banging on a whole nother level. And we suffering from it. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
We talking about fighting for Islam. So how did the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, what type of program did he push? He pushed what? Muhammad's economic blueprint for black men, right? Muhammad's program, 3-year economic, Muhammad's educational center. He was building a nation, right? He put up the flag of Islam, which is the only and the greatest and only flag in the universe. Represents the sun, moon, and star, which means that we are free, justified, and made equal to all mankind.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right.
That's right. We the God of the sun, moon, and star.
Yes, sir.
The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it says, was given the true meaning and wisdom of both books by God in the person of Farad Muhammad to divinely guide his people. What do you see him doing? Shaking the hand of the little man, right? He raises the mentally dead by teaching us the knowledge of self and kind. He lifts us from the mud of this world to success, good homes, friendships, and all walks of life. How many can bear witness to that? How many can bear witness to that? Since you found the teachings, have you been able to use the teachings in a way that you can benefit from it?
Yes,
that your family can benefit from it?
Yes,
you see what I'm saying? This is what it's all about. But he's not afraid to go to the bench of the little man. You see him, right? You see him holding his hand, putting his hand on top of his, right? It's the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said, let us follow the divine leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He is the one whom Allah raised and qualified. He alone has the key to freedom for the so-called Negro. He is the messenger of us. There is no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Now we've been studying this for 90 some odd years. When I got into it in 2004, it was already here. People had already been raised, right? At this point, it says for 34 years, Muhammad has called for a program of self-help for the so-called Negroes. This divinely guided leader has shown us that self-help ultimately leads to self-government and to freedom indeed. How can you say you love God, whom you've never seen, but hate your brother and sister who you see every day?
Come on, Black.
That don't even equate, right? So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that he had to rebuild the brotherhood.
Yes, sir.
What does it mean to be a brother? What does it mean to be a sister? How do you become somebody's friend? How are you willingly able to help somebody who's in distress? What compels you to do that? And then how can you say that that's my sister? And how can you say that that's my brother if these two have not taken place before you can even say those words? This is love that we're talking about.
Right.
Not usury. Love. You understand? If there's a sister in distress, all the sisters will rally behind and go help this sister in aid. Is that right? Is that right? Is that right, sis? Same way on the brother side. If there's a brother that's in distress, then we all rally behind and we help that brother, right?
Yes, sir.
Because we are only as good as the least among us.
Right.
Is that right? There are no big I's and little U's in the mosque,
That's right.
in the brotherhood, in the sisterhood. There are no big I's and little U's. We're all one family, right? But we all different, right?
Yes, sir.
So we all got to learn each other. That's what it means to be a friend. It means you got to talk and sit down and talk and see what makes this person tick. If you fighting for Islam, because you're trying to maintain the peace. Because if you don't maintain the peace, then it's going to be stress, strife, discord. Because you're going to wonder, why this sister always doing this? Why this brother always doing that? Right?
Yes,
We got to stay in the fight, family.
Yes, sir.
So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says, if you don't know yourself, you don't know where you are on the scale of knowledge. What does he mean by a scale of knowledge? You're weak in your profession of faith, and your works pale into insignificance, because without faith, you cannot have works.
Come on.
Point blank.
Wake up today.
The scale of knowledge determines how deep your faith is. So the brother was talking about Friday night study group, all right? We got study groups all over the city. They starting to pick up a little steam now, right? Right? So it's more believers coming than was coming before, right? But what would have happened if we never would have implemented this? I want you to think about that. Instead of figuring out how to shut it down, figure out what would happen if we never would have implemented it. Because this is how a Negro thinks. A Negro will want to go shut it down because they was not the implementers of it. That's Willie Lynchism. On a whole nother level, right? So why would you want to stop God's people from learning and unifying? And then turn around and look at the Dallas Mavericks and cheer them on because you want them to win. Wow. You understand? That's hypocrisy.
Yes, indeed.
That's what it is. And you got to deal with that within yourself because we all got a hypocrite buried deep inside of us that you done suppressed. And an event can happen that'll bring that hypocrite out. And you got to check it. The followers of Jesus had one with them.
Yes, sir.
When Jesus saw it, he said, "Get thee behind me, Satan."
Come on.
And he was talking to his right-hand man.
Come on.
You understand? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says, and where there are no works, you cannot say that you have faith. Right? Because faith without works is dead. So if I am a disciple of Jesus, don't tell me if I am a disciple that I can't raise the dead. What does he mean by raise the dead? Raise them into mental consciousness of who they are and what they should be doing. All right? We know that a man goes down in the grave ain't coming back up. It ain't never happened. So what makes you think it's going to happen now in this modern day and time? It ain't never happened. Ever. Ever. And the Bible don't even say it's going to happen. In the book of Job, he says when a man go down in the ground, don't look for him to come up anymore. It's all in the books. You just got to read them. So the minister says what? You don't know where your scale of knowledge is. So you may still be thinking like a baby in the knowledge. Whether you're a Christian, Muslim, Jew, atheist, whatever. You understand? It all depends because what comes out of your mouth will let me know where you at. You know what I'm saying? For real. On what level you on, right? So I was somewhere and I was fellowshipping with some of my Christian family. All right. And one of them walked up to me and he was like, "Man, what you think about all that Jesus talk?" I said, "It's all good. It's all good." But what's he expecting me to say then? Is the question. And why is he walking up thinking that it's bothering me of all people when I'm up in there? If it would bother me, I wouldn't come. I'm not coming just to look around. I'm coming to help. You understand? But it let me know what level of knowledge he is really on. You understand? So next time I talk to him, I may come at him a little bit different. I might bring up the scripture of Jesus where he's talking about the spittle on a man's eyes and he's trying to look at the tree and how you see the tree. I see the tree as something immovable. I see him as tree, and then Jesus wiped the spittle on his eyes, then he asked him again, "How do you see him?" I see men how they are at this point. The level of knowledge, right? And how it was delivered. So he says, don't tell me that if I am his disciple, that I can't raise the dead. Don't tell me if I am a disciple of Jesus that I can't make a blind man see and a deaf man hear and a dumb man speak and a lame man walk. Because it all happens with what? Knowledge. It's all about the knowledge. Then you learn how to work the knowledge. Is that right? Because that's when you start developing wisdom. That's it, right? Wisdom. Then you become strong when you start developing wisdom, right? Then at some point you start looking beautiful. You feel me? That's the development. You understand? You got to get the knowledge first. You got to get the knowledge first and then learn how to use it. So in education, the greatest level of knowledge is called creation. Bloom's taxonomy. When you can take the knowledge, learn how to use the knowledge, and create something for yourself. Come on now. So if your child is given a project in school and they just been given the knowledge and they got this rubric to look after, right? The teacher wants to know, well, did you take the knowledge and did anybody, as we went through the assignment, now what are you going to create outside of what we're talking about? That's going to let me know, do you really understand what we have been going over these last 4 days? Because on the 5th day, you're going to have this assignment, this project is due. And we've been talking about this project. So by the time they bring you home, they want you to do the project. And you end up doing the project. Look how y'all looking at me. How many of y'all done y'all baby's projects? Raise your hand. You be like, man, I ain't got time to do this. You at the school complaining because you got to do the project instead of getting on your baby. and telling them you need to be paying attention. I don't care what it looked like. This is a learning process. Because if I do it, how you going to explain it? How you going to explain it? Because you got to present it. You understand? You're going to say, oh, my mama did this. Right.
Come on, Black.
Right. And then you wonder why they got straight A's and they don't know nothing. Hello. I want you to think about that one. Why your baby got straight A's and don't know nothing? And still flunked the STAR exam. Got to take it again. But the teacher said he got straight A's. The last time you visited the classroom? That's the question. When the last time you called that teacher? To check up and see what's going on. So you can see what level of knowledge your baby is really on. Because sometimes they do that because they don't want to talk to you. Because they're afraid to speak to another human being, to another adult about what they're doing in their classroom. I'm just giving you some game. As an educator, you got to stay in there, man. All right. So we should be able to what? Raise the dead, heal the blind, make the deaf hear, make the dumb speak, make the lame walk, right? With this wisdom that we got, right? So when you fishing somebody in, if you can't explain point number 12, you need to get back into class. Because if they can't understand what a supreme being is, point blank, then they'll never realize that a human being can be divine. You can't teach them nothing else. Why do you think Message to the Black Man starts out with, who is that mystery God? Because if you don't understand that, everything else is just going through their ears and out the other. And you just spinning your wheels, proclaiming this and professing this and doing this and bearing witness to this, but you ain't got no fish. Because you can't explain your teaching to nobody else. You understand? You got to fight for Islam. Which means you got to understand Islam. And the first thing when we talk about our Islam, right? When we talk about the Islam of Prophet Muhammad, because we done already proved that he believed the same way we believe, right? When we talk about the Islam of Jesus, we done already proved that he believed the same way we believe, right? When we talk about the Islam of Abraham, we done already proved that he believes the same way we believe, right? And all the prophets, that God is a man. God has always been a man. And God has always intervened in the affairs of men through men. It ain't never been no spook. Ever. 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 This is the teaching of our open enemies. This is Greek philosophy. This is Pythagoras now. Aristotle. These are the ones who gave us this mystery God. After they sat at the foot of our brothers who had the order. You understand? In Africa. At the pyramid. At the Grand Lux. For over 45 years to 50 years. Learning how the Muslims do things. You understand? Then they came back to the West and came up with their own stuff. You understand? You understand? So the first question you are asked, and you're going to always go back to that question. Who is the original man? Who is the original man, Muslims? God of the universe. These are stages of development, right? He is the maker. What are you making? That benefit yourself. That you can look at and say, I own it. You understand? That benefits yourself in kind. That you can say, now I'm the cream of the planet Earth, and cream rises. Is that right? To the top. Is that right? Then you can say that you got force and power over anything that's within your universe. So you become the God. You can show strength. You understand? Wisdom. Because that's what God is, right? That's right. All right, let's look at this. Let's see what Prophet Muhammad talking about, Ibn Abdullah. In the hadith, a man came to the Prophet and asked, "Oh, Allah's apostle, what kind of fighting is in Allah's cause?" I asked this. For some of us fight because of being enraged and angry, and some for the sake of his pride and haughtiness. The Prophet raised his head and said, "He who fights so that Allah's word, Islam, should be superior, then he fights in Allah's cause." What does that mean? Because the Quran tells us to fight or argue in the best of manners, right? So with wisdom, you fishing them in. Because that's where it happens, right? They want to know. You start out, I don't eat that. Brother say, well, I don't eat that. I'm going to eat fruit. You know what I'm saying? You teaching. That's teaching. You understand? The God, when he came, he even ate poison in front of the believers and got sick. Just to prove a point. Y'all ain't feeling that. This the God who knows he shouldn't even be eating it at all. But sacrificed himself in that moment to prove a point to teach us why we shouldn't be eating. At the dinner table. You understand? You teaching, right? You arguing in the best of manner. Well, they say Jesus is the Lord of the worlds. They say Jesus is God. You say, well, show me in the scripture where he's saying that. Because I'm seeing right here where he says, I do the works of my Father who sent me. But you got to know where that is. You just can't walk up with a bow tie. This ain't the magic bow tie and the magic headpiece. You just can't wave it and people fall out. And they start following you. You understand? You got to be able to teach. And what is that? Fighting for Islam. Fighting so that Allah's word should be superior. Because there's no compulsion in Islam. You got to make them think. Think. When I came into the nation, Brother Tyrone used to tell me, you got to be a thinker to follow Farrakhan. You got to be a thinker to follow Farrakhan. That's all he used to say. That's the case. You got to be a thinker to follow Farrakhan. So you got to turn the people that you fishing in into thinkers. They got to figure this thing out for themselves, right? Because then when they come in, they're going to be engaged. And that's what the teacher wants to see of all their students, is the students engaged in the process of learning. That's it. That's the ultimate aim of education, is to make you a lifelong learner, which means you're constantly creating things new off the knowledge that you got or that you received. Is that right? Yes, sir. So mathematics is Islam and Islam is mathematics. It can be proven in no limit of time, right? Yes, sir. Can you prove it? Why is the devil settled on the best part of the planet Earth? Can we go down the lessons and you can recite the answers right off the top of your dome? You understand? You see how you're looking at me? Because I know you don't know. But not only recite them, you got to know them. Because it goes deeper than the recitation. You understand? That first question is dealing with the deportation of the moon. Well, how you think they got the best part of the planet Earth? What happened? You got to go study it. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad did a whole lecture on it. You got to go find it. See, when you get on this quest of knowledge, you got to go find it. Is that right? That's right. We are taught that when Master Farad Muhammad, his father went and bought the books and gave him all the knowledge. He had to train him into be the supreme being, even though he's in the circle of the gods. You understand? It was teaching going on. He had to raise him up. I'm not following. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Because if God studies, you study. That's right. Is what I'm saying. He left us a picture of him looking at a book, studying. That's right. If he studied, you study, right? So from this day forward, you should make a promise to yourself, I'm not going to miss Friday night study group. Yes, especially now that we got all these study groups spread all across Dallas to save your gas. You heard me. The economic blueprint. Is that right? Yes, I mean, you got to care about the economics of the believers, bro. You got to. If you're going to lead, you got to have some type of ease somewhere. You got to be thinking. Is that right? You got to be thinking. When the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, well, actually the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, when the fall was happening, right, and Warp Dean took over, they were mad at the minister and Brother Akbar and them in New York because they had study groups going on. Look, y'all ain't hearing me. Because they had study groups going on, teaching the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and they were trying to turn the nation a whole nother way. You understand? So this study group thing is at the root and core of building the cities. It's at the root and core of building the cities. You gotta have people studying. Okay, you don't believe that? Okay, say you a teacher and I'm a principal, right? If I want my school to be successful, right, then my teachers have to have proper training, right? The more thoroughly trained teachers that I have among the students, the better results I'm going to get. Right. That is a proven mathematical fact. It ain't nothing. That's what I'm telling you. So if we are having Negro problems and nobody is coming to study group, should I be surprised? That's what I'm asking you. Or should we be surprised? Because nobody is studying and asking the proper questions. So they can get deeper into their Islam so they can fight. Because that's what it's all about, right? You can't fight if you're not trained. It's impossible. You can't fight if you just following the person. You got to dig in for yourself and get the knowledge you need. You got to do this on your own. Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So in Surah, here we go. So in Surah 3, Ayat 19, Allah says, surely the true religion with Allah is Islam, which just means peace, right? And those who were given the book differed only after knowledge had come to them. What book is he talking about? The Bible and what? No, the Quran. The Quran is being revealed. The Torah, right? Okay, it's just a fact check. That's what he's talking about, right? So that means that they were given these books from the Lord of the Words. You understand? Because everybody has received a message from a messenger that was raised up from among them. You understand? So they differed after knowledge had come to them out of envy. What is envy? Among themselves. What is envy? A feeling of discontent or resentful longing arousing by someone else's possessions, qualities, or luck. So you're around somebody that's successful and you start feeling some type of way. And you saying you their friend and they really showing you the game, but you really envious because you don't want to work. You lazy. That's how it all starts. You want somebody to just hand it to you. Right? So this is what happens. So the Quran is being revealed and now they see the success of the Muslims. And so they get envious of that success, even though they got the book of success already. But they can't dig it out. Fighting for Islam, right? He said, envy among themselves. And whoever disbelieves in the message of Allah, Allah indeed is quick at reckoning. What does he mean quick at reckoning? They're already starting to get discombobulated because they're looking at the success of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This wasn't even supposed to happen. He re-raised the nation with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Holy Quran. So there's envy and jealousy about the nation, about our discipline, even though we want to share it with everybody. But we got to fight the envy amongst ourselves. He said themselves. You understand? Settle on the best part of the planet Earth. Settle on the best part of your brother and sister. Don't worry about the poor part. Let them worry about the poor part. Because that's what they're working on. Don't amplify it and agitate them in a way like they don't know what's wrong with them. They already fighting for Islam within themselves. They don't need nobody else pointing it out. Because then they ain't going to want to be around us. Nobody wants to be around somebody that's always pointing out the things that they see doing wrong. I ain't doing nothing positive. Come on. I don't even look good today. No, for real. This is what we all deal with on our jobs, sometimes in our homes. You understand what I'm saying? At your places of worship, at your frat, at your fraternity. It's the same thing. You're dealing with envy and jealousy. Right? All right. Y'all okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I hope y'all paying attention because at the end of the lecture, there's a quiz that you got to take in order to leave the building. Look, they laughing. Hey, these are the new ones that ain't been here, right? So when you see them lock the doors, it's because you ain't been paying attention. All right. Sister Aaliyah gonna break the sword out on y'all. All right. So in Surah 5, verse 3, it says, or Ayah 3, forbidden to you is that which dies of itself, and blood and flesh of swine, right? And that on which any other name than that of Allah has been invoked, and the strangled animal, and that beaten to death, and that killed by a fall, and that killed by goring with the horn, and that which wild beasts have eaten, except what you slaughtered, and that which is sacrificed on a stone set up for idols, and that you seek to divide by arrows, that is a transgression, right? So we talking about food. So you go in the grocery store and you eating that strangled hamburger meat. Have you ever looked at the YouTube and see how they slaughtering these animals? It's by machine now. So the meat is tough. So they teach you a way to tenderize it. Go ask the Amish. When I go to Oklahoma sometimes on my wife's grandma's farm, get meat from the Amish. And it look different than the meat from Walmart. And it tastes different. And hint to the wise is sufficient. Allah goes on to say, this day have those who disbelieve despaired of your religion. So fear them not and fear me. This day I have perfected for you your religion and completed my favor to you and chosen for you Islam as a religion. Who is he talking to? All of those who got the books before this one came by Prophet Muhammad. Those who had the Injil. Those who had the Torah. You understand? And said, we ain't going to go off the Torah. We're going to go off the Babylonian Talmud now. Because this a lot of stuff I can't deal with. You understand? So about time Prophet Muhammad is giving his book, and he's fighting for Islam, Allah said, now I have perfected my favor on you because now the books are here. So what makes us so special? We get the book in the last days, right? And we go back and study all the history of what happened before us because this is the end. So we don't make any mistakes. So it says no mistakes should exist in the nation of Islam. Is that what the wisdom says?
Yes, sir.
Right. The only way that you can't make a mistake is because you reading the knowledge. So he completed his favor and said that he gave us Islam as a religion. So before Islam, what was it called? It wasn't called nothing but righteousness. They named it Christianity because they said that they sacrificed Christ. Right? They named it Judaism because of the tribe of Judah. But what was the name of the religion that God gave Moses? What was the name that he gave Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and all the prophets? They talk about it in the Quran. The same thing. Full submission to me. Right? Obey me. So by the time it gets to Prophet Ibn Abdullah, Muhammad Ibn Abdullah, it's called Islam, which means peace. Right? Full submission. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. The Honorable Minister Louis, we almost there. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says, when Malcolm told me about my messenger's domestic life, we were at the table and Betty, his wife, had fed us well. And he drove me to LaGuardia Airport, which was right around the corner. He said, now, Louis, he spoke with authority because I was his student. Now, Louis, don't you tell anyone what I have told you tonight. He said, I said, no, sir. I'm not going to tell anyone but the messenger. Fighting for Islam.
Right.
Fighting to obey the rules and regulations of Islam.
Right.
To report all slackness and weakness. Is that right? That's how you keep this thing straight. He goes on to say, see, that was a little trial. Well, you snitched. You got a hell of a nerve, right? I snitched. Says, do you know what a soldier in the army of God is? You report all slackness and weakness, all wrongdoing, if you are what? If you are a soldier. But if you are a punk, you go along with the madness. Then you become a disciple of somebody else. That's the trial for everybody. How you gonna report the person who you are friendly with? Because it's gonna come. They gonna do something. Are you afraid that they gonna get put out? You shouldn't be afraid. Because if they believe in this, they'll take that strike and keep on moving and still believe in this. They be like, you know what, sis, I messed up. You right, let me go ahead. Because they may not even get put out anyway, to tell you the truth. But you gotta report it. That's the whole thing. Because if you don't report it, then the enemy up in here. You know what I'm saying? And then we can't keep this thing straight. And that's what we need to do because we fighting for Islam. We fighting for our peace. You can't allow anyone to keep whispering into the ear of the believers and not get checked if it's not on the same path as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Because that's who we are looking at. You're not looking at me. You're not looking at your captain. You're not looking at your lieutenant. You're looking at Farrakhan.
That's right.
That's who you keep your eyes on.
Yes,
Farrakhan.
Yes, sir.
That's it. You understand?
Yes, sir.
That's it. And we report all slackness and weakness because we want to keep this thing copacetic. Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
So it goes on to say in Surah 9:107, and those who built a mosque to cause harm to Islam, to help disbelief, and to cause disunion among the believers. You say, how can they do that? They do it up in here. You got your own cliques that you forming. These clandestine groups. Look that word up. What's it mean? What's it mean?
Secret.
What's it mean?
Secret.
It means a secret group. You understand?
Hey.
So the Quran say that you are what? When you along with your devils. That's them clandestine groups. I think another word for it is irreligious liberties. There you go. Libertines. Yeah. See, some brother know. All praises due to Allah. We're not supposed to be found with them. You understand? You're not supposed to be having friendly relations with them. Anyone that's put out of the mosque or who is out on bad time and all, you're not supposed to, but some of us still be friendly with them. But there's a reason why you should not be friendly with them. Because they have to work on themselves so they can come back. You understand? But if you lend ear to that madness and then justify that madness and be like, you know what? You're right. He ain't like that, sis. He do be doing that. Then you just like them. It's just a matter of time before you get caught too. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, if you show sympathy to them, he would put you out on the same time. Off tops. There ain't no questions. It ain't nothing to ask. You feel sorry? You too. Because that means that you one of the devils that's in secret council with them. It's that simple. Because mathematics is Islam. And Islam is mathematics. And it can be proven in no limit of time, right? Mathematics means these are the things that are absolute. These are facts. There's no guessing. You understand? All right. So there are people who want to build a mosque next to the mosque that Allah set up, right? For the disbelievers, to cause disunion among the believers. And a refuge for him who made war against Allah and his messenger before, right? And they will certainly swear, we desire not but good. And Allah bears witness that they are the light. You understand? This is what happens. So when they in your face, it's all, assalamu alaikum. What's up, bro? It's all good, man. What's up, player? All this, they know the language. But then they get along with their devils and they plotting and planning to take you down and those who want to follow the messenger. Oh, man. Hey, this thing is deep, man. That's why you got to go in this thing with your eyes open, bro. Sis? And you got to stay in this Quran because it's all in there. You know what I'm saying? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that we are honeycombed with hypocrites and disbelief. What is he talking about? You looking at it like, oh, what is he talking about? What is he talking about? And then he teaches you how they got up in here and you still don't believe it. Then he tells you where they at and you still don't believe it. You say, oh no, he ain't talking about such and such. Right. Then an event happens. And then now you all discombobulated. I couldn't believe he was one of them. He done put you to sleep. Or she done put you to sleep. Because they mix truth with falsehood. And you can't distinguish between the two because you ain't studying. The walking dead. Until you run into a Jesus that wipes your eyes with spittle. You understand? That's the only thing that's going to wake you up. Because once you get in here, Allah may leave you in your inordinance. He talk about this in the Quran. And you wonder why you can't get it. Because you in your inordinance. You don't understand. You got to do some soul searching. You got to. Because this is self-development. All right? You got to fight for your Islam. Because if not, you may be on the wrong side of history and not even know it. All right. And we want everybody to be on the right side of history. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
But unfortunately, history shows us that some of us are not going to be on the right side of history. Some of us say that we believe and we don't believe. Some of us pray and have no luck because your heart is corrupt. We don't see your heart. I don't know what your heart is like. But Allah does. You understand? And Allah is with the successful ones. No doubt about that. He's with the successful ones. It may not be the type of success that you want, but he's with the successful ones because he knows their hearts, which is the most important organ in the work that he needs to get done.
That's right.
Is that person's heart. You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, let's keep going. We almost there, fam. We're gonna land this plane in just a few minutes. On the day the prophet went out, this is out of the Hadith. One day the prophet went out and offered the funeral prayers of the martyrs of Uhud, and then went up to the pulpit and said, I will pave the way for you as your predecessor and will be a witness on you by Allah. I see my font just now, and I have been given the keys of all the treasures. Ain't that what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said? Treasures of the earth, or the keys of the earth. By Allah, I am not afraid that you will worship others along with Allah after my death, but I am afraid that you will fight with one another for the worldly things. For the worldly things. For the worldly things. Right? He's talking about envy and jealousy. So Brother Tony, you out there on the block, he's popping watermelons out, left and right, popping them off. You know what I'm saying? All on Instagram. Everybody know who the watermelon man is in South Dallas, right? Envy and jealousy start setting up because they want a watermelon truck. They ain't even thought about selling no watermelons till they saw Brother Tony out there selling watermelons. You understand what I'm talking about? Envy and jealousy pops up. It ain't really because he's selling the watermelons. You understand? It's because of the people that he's attracting and bringing them into the Mosque of Muhammad. That's really what it is. And the real issue is you don't love yourself enough to dig down into yourself and find out what you are good at. You understand? What he's good at, he's natural at. A natural salesman can sell any product. You understand what I'm talking about? Proving he can sell any product. You understand? So your gift ain't his gift. You got another sister. You got a sister that may be doing the same thing. She can push products. She getting guests in. She doing this and that. But jealousy and envy pop up in your mind because you not doing it. You understand? Ruffians. That's right. Ruffians. You got the wrong mindset. So you want to hit your sister in your throat so she can't talk no more. You understand? Yeah, that's what you want to do. You want to punch your brother in his chest so he ain't got no love for you no more. That's what you want to do. Yeah, that's what you want to do. And then the end result is you want to take a hammer and knock him in the head and kill him so he don't know who he is no more. That's what you want to do. All because you don't want to work. That's the root of it all. Envy, jealousy, self-hate. You got to fight for Islam, man. You got to fight for your own inner peace. You have to. You can't walk around like this because it's written on your face. A person can look at you and be like, ooh, they not too inviting. You know, and the brothers, you know, we on the street, we always say what's up to each other. What's up, bro? No matter what. That's just a universal language all across the planet. You understand? What do y'all do as sisters? No, even if you don't know them. We're talking about strangers. What is your universal signal to each other? But then when you smile, they may think you're being fake. That's the flip coin of that. Yeah, that's O'Neal. That's right. But you got it. But there's a universal signal. You understand that we all are inviting too, right? So we got to keep fighting for Islam. We got to keep fighting for Islam, family. We have to. So Prophet Muhammad said he had the keys, right? He said he's not afraid. He said, I'm not afraid that you will worship others along with Allah after my death. Means you ain't going to take on no other gods with that. But I'm afraid that you're going to take this knowledge. You're going to grow it so high that y'all going to be envious of each other because of the success that you're having with it. Let's just put it in layman terms. I got a gold toilet. You need a gold toilet. For real. They both do the same thing. I'm just saying. These are the things that this devil has done to us, that Satan has pitted us together at, that we can't congratulate each other's success.
Yes, sir.
We can't look at it and be like, his success is our success.
Come on, man.
That's something we got to get over.
Yes, sir.
No, for real.
That's right.
Like real. It's basic, but we got to get over it because it comes up at the strangest times and you got to check it. I get it. You get it. So I know you get it, but you got to check it and then take it to your prayer rug and tell Allah, man, you got to remove this from me. Save me from myself. Fight for Islam. So in the Holy Quran 30:30, it says, so set your face for religion, being upright, right? This means you are morally correct. The nature made by Allah in which he created men. You understand? Men, human beings, right? So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, man, we are the righteous by nature. That's the language that he used, right? He said, we are the righteous by nature. So you can't, how can I say it? You can't raise a man that's already got it in him, pretty much. You have to figure out a way to pull it out of him. I think that's a better way of saying it, right? Because to educate somebody means to bring it out of them. So you know it's already in them, right? So when you bring it out of them, you put it in front of them so they can see it, kind of like a hologram. Then they can see it. Then they can understand it, right? So he says, set your face for religion, being upright. The nature made by Allah in which he created men. There is no altering man's or Allah's creation. That is the right religion, but most people know not. So the white boy take us, put us in slavery and put us in this system, right? Now we in a system where we all got different last names. We're in a system that we judging each other by skin color. From darkness to light, it's different shades of black, right? We're in a system because somebody's in the house and somebody's in the field. We're in a system because of this and that. All these little differences that's been amplified, right? He created these differences in us. But at some point, even in the Willie Lynch letter, he said nature is going to kick in, right? Which should have been 2012. He said after so long that their minds are going to go back to themselves because you can't alter Allah's creation. And they understand that, right? So scientifically, they knew that we were going to be returned back to what they call the wild type gene, all right? You got a knockout gene and you got a wild type. That's how the genotype is split when we're talking about DNA,
Yes, sir.
all right? To get down to a European, it took 600 years. Y'all with me, family? Those who are in the teachings, you understand, right? So you understand the system of getting down to an unmelanated human being who's different all the way down to his bone marrow. You understand that, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So everything that's in science, they do the same thing too. So if they're going to test pharmaceuticals, they're going to graft the rat from a wild type to a knockout gene. So every time you see the science experiment, you're going to see an albino rat with no color. So they can justify the pharmaceuticals for mankind. That's the language that they use. You understand? But with us, they got to keep us confined because when we come back to ourselves, they already got to be in control of us. That's what makes the nation so dangerous. Because we waking you up to the knowledge of yourself faster. And that's what it's all about. So you can do something for yourself.
Go ahead.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
So there's no altering Allah's creation. You're fighting for Islam. Everything that we do is a fight. It has never stopped until the victory is won.
Yes, sir.
And when is the victory won? When we got a nation that we control the import and export of.
That's right. Come on, brother. See this one.
When you study the East, there's a character that's known by Usman in the East, right? He has the longest reigning society where everyone lived in of all different faiths. kind of like a utopia, so to speak, in the East, back in Turkey, right? I want to say this country it was 300 some odd years that it was thriving once they really got going. How much you say? 600 years, thank you, brother. Under 600 years of this system of doing things where everybody was invited. And even though they were Muslims, no one was persecuted because of their religious beliefs. You understand? One nation, right? America is how old? Because they trying to do the same thing. However, it's the foundation of America didn't start right. So it can't end right. Same way with these individuals who think that they can set up a mosque next to a mosque. If it don't start right, Allah ain't gonna bless it, so it ain't gonna end right. You understand? So you don't have to worry about it. You just keep moving on the mission. Keep moving. So America is how old? 200 some years, right? And we still ain't got it perfect yet. We still dealing with inequality. Think about that. America hasn't even been perfected yet. And you say it's the greatest place on the planet Earth. I want you to think about that. And here's a man who did it before the Ottoman Empire. And had 600 years that you can study of how he ran this nation. In peace. And they kept trying to infiltrate so they can destroy it out of envy and jealousy. And these people were Muslims. How dark you think they were, though? That's something for you to go study. All right? So in the Dred Scott case, he says this: the black man has no right, which the white man is bound to respect. He may justly and lawfully be reduced to slavery and treated as an ordinary article of traffic and merchandise. 1856. U.S. Supreme Court Chief Justice Roger B. Taney. And y'all think we free. So if he's saying that in the Supreme Court, it's on record. Is that right? For my attorneys, is that right? He put it on record, right? For his future generation to read and internalize and digest. Even though we doing this on the cool. In our secret council, we ain't paying them niggas no mind. We're gonna keep this thing going. And they ain't gonna even know about it. That's how secret it is. Then the minister come back and say what? I am not asleep. I am a wide awake man. And that's why they hate me in America, because I will not stop telling the truth. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's the other side of the coin. You got this side, and then you got this side of the coin. Which side you gonna take? That's the question. So when they did an attempt to free a slave, right? Because that's the uphill road, right? This is the fighting for Islam. So what did he do? He came up with a scientific name for it. Drapetomania. The psychotic diagnosis of a runaway slave. Now this was done in Louisiana. All right? What is drapetomania? I won't read it all, but I'll read some of it. All right? On March 17, 1851, an annual meeting of the Louisiana Medical Association by Dr. Samuel Cartwright presented a committee report entitled A Report on the Disease of the Physical somebody help me with this. Peculiarities of the Negro race. All right? Filled with claims of scientific racism, and the report also documents the new disease, drapetomania. It says more than a year before, in December 1849, the Louisiana State Medical Convention had selected Dr. Cartwright, a pro-slavery advocate, to the chair of a committee tasked with investigating and reporting on diseases unique to black people. In the resulting report, Dr. Cartwright claims black people were very different psychologically from white people, possessing smaller brains, more sensitive skin, and overdeveloped nervous systems. These unique traits, he claimed, gave black people an especially high propensity for servitude. citing scientific evidence and scripture. Dr. Cartwright argued that the Negro is a slave by nature and never can be happy. You got to hear this. In any other condition, Dr. Cartwright invented the term drapetomania, derived from the Greek words runaway slave and crazy, to describe a new curable mental disease. When infected with this affliction, he claimed enslaved blacks were struck with an urge to flee bondage and seek freedom. He further explained that this disease was triggered by masters who unwisely treated enslaved people as their equal and prescribed treatments such as severe whippings and amputation of the toes. Because you wanted to be free. Yeah. Your name is Kunta. Nah, that ain't what he said. Your name is Toby, boy. Right? Drapetomania. So anybody who wanted to be free, they cut his toes off, cut his foot off, and brought him back to the camp so everybody can see. And they justified it by science and scripture. And scripture. And this is what fed fear in us. And that fear has been transmitted even until today. Just like when you eat that meat that died and it was strangled and it's real tough. That baby that is produced a way long time ago, that DNA is still in you, and you produce a baby that may be fearful. Until they have an intervention with Farrakhan. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Because this is what we are dealing with. This is what we are dealing with. Fear, which restricts you. Fear, which causes you to make the wrong decisions. Fear, which hinders you from fighting for Islam, for what you know is right. Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
We got to overcome the fear. How do you overcome the fear? Talk to Allah. You got to get the prayers. It's the prayers. It's the prayers. It's the prayers that give you strength. It's the prayers that they took away from us when they put us on the slave plantation, because they knew the call. They knew what gave us strength, because when they was over in the East, that's all they heard. Allahu Akbar. From a distance. From a distance. And then they see the brothers jumping out ready to do battle. They said they couldn't. It's the fear. They seen God in us. And that's what they are afraid of. So Kunta wasn't allowed to say the call to prayer, even though slaves knew it when he arrived. He wasn't broken yet. Y'all understand? The movie goes on. It goes through all of this, what we talking about. All of this. But what made Alex Haley do the research? The most honorable Elijah Muhammad. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad made him do the research. So who else is doing research on the Nation of Islam? You understand? Everybody. It's our time to shine, baby.
That's right.
It ain't no doubt about it. This is the only way to go. And no matter what our people think about us, we be out on the corner, they blow smoke in our face. They call us devils. They do all kind of crazy stuff to us, and we greet them with a smile. This is what your husbands go through when he come home through the door that you don't know nothing about. He may have had a gun pulled on him. He may have seen some craziness that just kind of just messed with his mind. I want you to understand when you see us out there with that final call, what we going through. And then what gives him a smile? He see a young brother pop up, on them 24s, give him 100 stack. Bam. The brother that you don't think is listening.
Come on.
The brother that you don't think want this.
Come on.
But he can smell something, so he gotta work his way in.
That's right.
Because it ain't smelling right. It ain't smelling like grandma's cooking yet. Y'all feel me?
Yes, sir.
Because they can feel it.
That's right.
But they know the brothers ain't gonna leave them in the hood.
Come on.
Because if they go to jail, who they looking for? They looking for us.
Right.
You understand? Because Because we always showing love.
That's right.
We always showing love.
That's right.
Always showing love. Always showing love, brother. So you can't deny this truth that was given to us. And you got to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as much as possible, because without him and his faith and his belief, none of us would even have this. None of us would even have this at all. He made tremendous sacrifice for this. He rebuilt the nation with nothing. And with a handful of help. With nothing. With a handful of help. Rebuilt the nation. Got the Final Call building. Was making tapes in his home with his family. He had a studio. You understand? You understand? People trying to offer him money so he won't raise up the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, because they know the truth, man. They know. No matter what religion they in, they know what Elijah taught us was the truth. They know that that's what they hid from us as a people. In everything, they know. So they offered the minister millions of dollars to not fight for Islam in the West. To keep the son of Islam low. S-U-N. You understand? Because it's already prophesied that the sun arise in the West. And then they're going to turn back to the East. That's what Elijah does. Right? So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stood up on that faith and fought for Islam. It was a soldier here that during his retirement, he left a tape for us. I just can't think of the brother's name right now. With the green beret. He used to be on post with the minister. Brother Salim. He did a whole little audio documentary that we got here in Dallas. Talking about how they used to protect the minister in the early days. You gotta, man, this thing is real when it comes to us. So we can't be playing with this. We gotta take this real serious with the time that we have so we can raise up our people and really do something. You understand? This ain't no church at all. It wasn't raised up to be one. It was raised up so we'll get a knowledge of self and go to work and do something for ourselves and build a nation. When Jesus started talking about the kingdom, that's when they started coming at him. In the FBI files, they don't want us to talk about nation. That's what they're afraid of. Nation talk. They don't care about the other stuff. Not saying that it's not significant. It is significant. But it's that nation stuff that they're worried about. Because that threatens governmental powers. That makes you think that, oh man, we can do this. And the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad set it up for us to see. Now I want you to just think about this. They had all of this for us to see. Where the pictures at? Why we don't study this in school? Why? Because they don't want us to have a nation. Why don't our babies know about this when they go into elementary school? Ain't no other black person done this. Ever in our time has done what the Nation of Islam has done under the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's right. He set a shining example of what we can do if we sacrifice and do something for ourselves and be committed to it. Why do you think we kept giving? Because we kept seeing results. Stuff popping up left and right. Fighting for Islam. That's right. And showing the people our Islam. Come on. Fishing was easy. They walking in the mosque. Hey. Muslims got everything. When I was growing up in Kansas City, the Muslims had a gas station. And I'm a 70s baby. Think about that one. So what was I looking at when I'm looking at this 5, 6 years old? Not really knowing what it is. But I can remember today, the whole gas station was painted red. So what you think the symbol was in the middle? We stopping at the light before my mama taking me to school, and they just selling stuff. I don't even know what's going on. But I remember these things today. They walking in and out of this store. That was the mosque. And I didn't know it. I'm going over my homeboy's house. His name is Abdul Khalid. Atif Abdul Khalid, one of my best friends. I know nothing about no Islam. We doing other things. I ain't paying no attention to it. Just like your children ain't paying no attention to it when they run into somebody with a Muslim name. They ain't really, they just like, is he cool? Is she all right? And then they grow up and they realize. I remember, like, I'm walking in this house, I remember seeing the prayer rug. And we off doing something else. I remember all of this stuff when I go back and think about it, man. It's crazy. And then I end up here in my 20s. Out of everything else that goes on in your life. The adversities that you fight. So this was destiny that I at least be here.
That's right.
In the mosque.
Come on.
No matter what I'm doing, but I'm supposed to be in the mosque. You understand? Working for Muhammad, right? So that's what we all should strive to do. Let's get better at this fighting for our Islam, all right? Let's do good by each other. If you did somebody wrong, make up for it today. Do an act of kindness, all right? Let's do something different. Let's not be the same Negro that we was yesterday, today. Because every day we got another chance to get it right. That's the beauty of it, right? We see these sunrises and this sun going down a whole lot, and it get faster the older you get. It seems like it, you know? So let's do something good for each other. Let's fight for Islam. Let's teach, let's train, let's get into our classes. Let's commit to this, you know? Let's form committees and do something around the city. Let's go after the young people. Let's go after the young sister who's pregnant, who ain't got no man. Teach her Islam. I see her every day coming to my school with no help and no guidance. Every day. Every day. Sister Peggy used to work there. She know. They up in there, ain't they, Sister Peggy? No help, no guidance. She needs the training of the MGT. You got to give it to her. Sister Leah, no. They up in there. You got to give it to them. They got problems in their life. Real problems. Real problems. We think we got problems. We done been raised up a little bit. They still at the bottom in the mud and got problems, and they looking for a good word. They looking for direction. They looking for a sister to be a sister. They looking for a brother to be a brother so he can take advantage of his opportunity and his responsibility. We got to teach and train, bro. All the way. It don't stop. In the gas station, at the car wash, at the laundromat, going to the school, in the projects. You understand? When you going to the fair park, when you taking your children to somewhere, it don't stop. You always got your leaflets on you because they falling from the sky. You understand? That's how we got to be when we are totally engaged in this. Anywhere you go, even if you ain't got on your headpiece, because you ain't wearing it 24/7. You ain't swimming in it, I know. But Islam is with you all the time. And how you treat people will determine your attracting power, right? So I thank you for listening to me today, and I pray that I said something that can affect us and help me. Uh-oh, what's going on? What's that? That's something new. What we got? Somebody got to take their medicine? All right, praise be to Allah. So I thank you for listening. I leave you as I came before you in the greeting words of peace and paradise of Assalamu alaikum. All praise is due to Allah. 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 So I only have 3 questions to ask.